Drakelings are part of the $30 Lost Colony pre-release for Ark Survival Ascended. You'll find them on Ragnarok, Astraeos, Extinction, The Center, and Scorched Earth. They come in 4 different types, and each one looks a little different. Winter seems to have more sharp-edged wings, while Autumn has more of kind of like a butterfly rounded edge, and its tail kind of reminds me of an arrow. Spring has a much more fluffy face, while summer has more sharp dragon-like horns coming off of its head. Taming them is pretty straightforward, but a little bit different than anything else we've had before. First, start by clearing everything in the area. They're a bit aggressive and like to attack everything. Make sure to clean up all the dead bodies too. Once you have everything all cleaned up, start by equipping a torch. Once you equip a torch, they'll get curious and come land on your shoulder. As soon as they land on your shoulder, a little bar will pop up, giving you an objective to complete. You'll either need to gain harvesting, crafting, or kill experience. Depending on the level of the Drakeling will determine how long it takes to do this, as well as your settings. We've got slightly boosted taming rates, so it takes a little bit less, and typically I only have to go through 1 round of things. But as soon as you've filled up the bar, it's going to pop up and tell you to feed it its favorite food. Always go with the extraordinary kibble when you can. The dossier says Drakelings are one species, since all 4 types can breed together, unlike wyverns. Each prefers a different biome: snow, jungle, desert, or redwoods, so it's easy to think of them as seasonal variants with their own biomes. They may look like tiny dragons, but don't expect fire-breathing mayhem. The breath attack is more for show. It's color-coded by variant, but not very useful in combat. They all have a few features that we'll go over next: slow fall mode, XP accumulation and transfer, Dragon Hoard Key, which is a loot mechanic, kind of like treasure boxes, but better, and then they have their own buffs and abilities too. Now let's check out the slow fall ability. Go ahead and put your Drakeling on your shoulder, and then you're going to open up your user wheel, go to the Drakeling, and up top you'll see slow fall. Make sure that that is enabled. Then, feel free to jump off a cliff. When you hit the bottom, you'll notice that you haven't taken any fall damage. You do have a bit more glide control, I think, than with a regular parachute. But in this case, I forgot the #1 rule of jumping off of a cliff. Make sure you've got a way back up. I've been a bit too reliant on that tech suit lately. Breeding is one of my favorite parts of Ark, so I was quite interested in this whole crossbreeding that I read about. I've always bred wyverns, but you have to do each individual ice, fire, lightning separate. So the idea that I might be able to combine stats on one type of these and then do my mutations and apply it to each variant was pretty interesting. So I took a spring and a summer and set them both to breed, and then we wait and wait, which I'm not good at. And there we go. Now let's check out our egg. And we have a spring Drakeling egg, and as you can see, it took some of the stats from each of the parents. And let's go ahead and get that incubated and come back to check it out. Alright, just tossing some wood in the campfire and we'll hatch this little guy. Look at that little cutie. Came out a spring variant, just like the spyglass had said. I'm not sure if it favored the spring parent because it was a higher level, or if it's totally random. If you're using something like the Better Breeding mod or robust traits, it'd be super easy to build up a strong Drakeling line for each of the variants. Then you can stack mutations on, say, winter and breed those into your spring or summer lines. Okay, so now let's go over all of the different buffs that you can get and how to transfer them to your creature. I'm going to start with a summer Drakeling. So the first thing I've got to do is put it up on my shoulder, and then it has this little weapon right here. And you're going to drag that to your hotbar and then equip it. And now your little guy is going to move down to your wrist. With your inventory access button, so for me, it's an X. For PlayStation, I believe that that's square and R on a computer, but I'm not 100%. Go ahead and tap that, and it's going to switch through. And down there at the bottom, you notice now it says Gift of Summer, Stored XP, and Breath Attack. It normally starts off on Breath Attack, I believe, but I want to do Gift of Summer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my normal um, scope button, which is left trigger for me, and that just sent that buff right over to my creature. So now both my Drakeling and my Griffin have this aspect of summer, which is a 10% movement speed, and negative 25% crowd control effect. And these last about a minute, so they're not super useful for regular, but in a pinch, definitely helpful. And then it just recharges, and then I can left trigger send it over again. Every Drakeling has a different version. I'm going to go ahead and try out another one. That was summer. And then for each one, you do have to re-equip the weapon again. Doesn't keep it as a standard. And I'm going to switch over to the gift. Shoot him. I say shoot, but it's the wrong trigger. And as you can see, I have a little bit of an overlap between them. So the aspect of autumn gives you a 5% melee damage increase and 15% harvesting increase. And then we'll move on to winter. Oh, and I should mention the summer actually gives you cooked meat. If you put raw meat into it, it will cook it. And the winter Drakeling increases your spoil timer. Oh, a little too close. And so the winter aspect of winter is a 10% damage resistance increase and a 100% insulation. So this guy is great for taking into the murder snow. And last up, we have spring. Okay, and spring does plus 1% and plus 15 health regen. I have not tested this out myself yet, but it's supposed to be really fast, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up adjusting that one a little bit. It also decreases your stamina consumption by 10%. Okay, so I have a point. I'm going to go ahead and put that into my health, and you can see exactly how fast that is filling back up there. You can also transfer your buff another way. Instead of simply shooting the creature, you can, if you look, this one has no active buffs right now, but I have my Drakeling on my shoulder, and I have the buff applied myself, as you can see down there. And once I mount, he does this little glowy thing, and the color of that changes depending on which Drakeling you've got activated. And now you can see he has the aspect of summer showing up in the top right, as well as you can look at it in here. So that is the easiest way to do it. And as long as I'm writing this guy, he'll continue to have that. Now, there's something else really cool that you can do with these guys. And the dossier talks about how they love to learn, and they also love to share. So if you put one on your wrist and tab through, they have a stored experience. So you can see my Griffin isn't quite ready to level up, but he's got 2,700 XP, and you can see it slowly increasing. With this little guy on my wrist, I can transfer XP to him, and you can see that little bar increased, but also it's jumped up to 2,800 now. Now, as long as I have it in stored XP mode, I can go ahead and put it up on my shoulder, and the little writing goes away, but if you look at his weapon in my hotbar, you can see it still says XP. And I can fly around, I can kill things while on my Griffin, I can shoot things. As long as I have him on my shoulder, he'll continue to gain XP. So I'm going to go ahead and fly around and do that for a little bit, and then I'm going to show you something else so you can get from the XP. Okay, now we've killed enough things. So if I pull it back up again, you'll notice it says stored experience 7,047 plus Dragon Hoard Key. This is another cool feature it has. It gives you like a treasure chest. In order to access that Dragon Hoard Key, I need to transfer the extra experience to my creature. So now that I did that, once I open it, I have a primitive Dragon Hoard Key. Now I have to keep that on me and it will ping the location of it. So basically, it's going to work just like the Bob's Tall Tales shovel and treasure map. So I've gone ahead and pinged that, and now it's over there. Once I get close to it, I can land and it'll appear. Now, there are different tiers of these, and it just depends on how much XP you're willing to bank. Okay, now I'm almost here, and luckily, because I'm out of stamina pretty much, so I'm going to go ahead and land and dismount, and it literally shows up right on top of my Griffin here. Uh, so that is how those work, and I've already been regaining experience. That wraps up the full Drakeling guide. Which variant's your favorite? Drop a comment and let me know, or tell me what combo you're planning on breeding next. If this helps, give it a like and consider subscribing for more art content. I've got lots more guides coming soon.